皆様こんばんは。今週も始まりましたカルダノラジオ。いやね、本当にね、ブリンクラブスのクリスからまた素敵なゲストを紹介してもらいましたよ。もうね、僕が喋る間もなくね、本当にイエローダックって言ったらみんなわかると思うんですけど、ひよこちゃんもアイコンでわかると思うんですけどね、ここで紹介してみたいと思います。じゃあ行きましょう。Hey, how are you? I just did a little bit of introduction in Japanese. Thank you for joining in.
Hello, thank you for introducing me.
Yep. Can you give me a brief introduction in English?
Yeah, so name is Matthias, but more known as K-Tours. Been around here for longer than most people and building open source software since day one, and I still enjoy doing that very much. So yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you very much. I know you're very busy man, and I'm glad I finally found a sweet spot where we can actually do this radio, so I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, that was a tough one to find a moment, but I'm happy also with it. So
yeah. So at the moment, where are you based? Where do you live?
I live in Switzerland at the moment. I've been moving there for the past 3 months now.
Oh wow!
So I used to be based in France, and I just moved in Switzerland. So yeah.
Oh, so you're originally French?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I'm in a way I'm French too, so but no, don't even think about starting to talk to me in French, because my French is very rusty at the moment. So yeah, my dad is French Italian, brought up in Paris and Nice. Yeah, so that's kind of my background.
Okay.
So, yeah, je parle un petit peu, mais it doesn't matter, but French doesn't work for the Japanese community, but I didn't know your background, so I was so surprised. So, yeah, that's great. So I feel, a little bit closer to you now.
Yeah. No, actually quite many French in this ecosystem. I'm always surprised to meet people that speak French.
Yeah, well, that's great. Even, like what, was it last month? In Japan, we had the Midnight Japan tour, yeah? Yeah, and in Tokyo, I was so surprised, and I actually went to Hokkaido, with the gang, because I was hanging out with the Hydra team with Adam and everything, and I went to Hokkaido and Osaka, Tokyo, Fukuoka, and Okinawa. But when I went to Tokyo, we discovered a lot of French people there, so that was kind of another surprising moment. Yeah. So basically, this radio is, oriented for Japanese people, but, a lot of people around the globe are, listening to it. So we basically, have the artist, talk about it for, 4 episodes, 15 minutes a week. So I don't know, where should we start the conversation with? You're in charge.
Well, I don't know. What is it that you want to know?
Well,
I can cover pretty much anything. I think.
Okay, so
related.
All right, so this is gonna be the first week of the episode. So, okay, let me start with like the very general beginning question. How did you discover Cardano, and where did you enter Cardano?
So that was back in 2017.
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
So I discovered Cardano, I think, around October, November 2017, so just after the mainnet launch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much one of the first crypto/blockchain I discovered.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in the payment industry back then, and I had this friend who was like super into crypto, and he was constantly telling me, you should buy Bitcoin, you should do that. And so at some point it became kind of a meme between us two. And I really got to look into that blockchain stuff he was talking about for a bit. And It was also at a time where I was a bit tired of the payment industry because it's all just a whole bunch of intermediaries taking fees on top of the consumers with very tight control everywhere. So like you can see the whole systems being something you kind of need to change. And the blockchain was on the other side an alternative or an attempt at least to propose something new. So I thought, well, let's try to contribute to blockchain and let's pick one that matches my criteria. And so at the time, what was that? It was mainly something that is, well, remotely serious, or that looks serious at least, because, blockchain can be a whole panel of things. I was pretty already deep into functional programming. I was doing Haskell for many years. So I searched for a project, or at least for me, that was a good sign if a project was using functional programming at its core. I was like, okay, those guys, they want to build good software, so that's a good sign. I was looking for something where I could potentially work remotely, and something that was also, solid / based on scientific research. And so I think I came to Cardano like many people back then because it was proposing something that was rarely seen in the blockchain ecosystem, which was this whole package of let's try to do things properly, to work with research, to have these whole formal methods components to it. And that was fun because I did a lot of formal methods at school, in engineering school, and that's something you see at school and you think, well, that's what's cool, but the real world does not do that. It's not something you're gonna see again. And now you see this company trying to do all the things you've seen at school and trying to put them actually at play in the industry. And I thought that was interesting. So let's not try. I think after 8 years, I'm a bit more nuanced now on formal methods, the good, the bad, what's perhaps worked and didn't work. But I don't think it's all like, a magic thing, a silver bullet that solves all your problem. But yeah, that was definitely interesting. And so that's how I got in, really. So doing functional programming, exploring formal methods, and trying to change the payment infrastructure of the world. I think that were the main motive.
Wow, I mean, you said from 2017, so that's over 8 years, but that's a long time, right? So, probably there's a lot of things that you learned as, time goes by, but looking at 2026 and, what you're doing right now, I mean, we still have like 4 weeks. I don't want to really go into the conclusion part of the topic, but, a lot of things is happening in Cardano at the moment with, Midnight coming in and, the stable coins and everything. And what do you think about the vision? I mean, 2026, I mean, all the programmers, everybody who's working, I mean, one day, poof, 2 months is gone, because everybody's crazy working. So, time is a short span, and also the crypto in general is, not looking good at the moment. But what's your, vision in general for like the crypto industry for maybe the next 5 years?
It's a tough industry, in the sense that a lot of what we do is not inherently better or obviously better than a centralized solution. If you look at whole performances, ease of use, a lot of things, as soon as you add blockchain to the mix, and more specifically, public permissionless blockchain, you get into solutions that are slower, that are more complicated to use, and then you think, why am I doing all that? And the reason you're doing it is to decentralize control. Right? It is a matter of trust every time. You want to have not a single person in control. You want to have choices so that as a user of that interface, if you don't like a particular actor, well, you can pick another, and no one is able to lock you out or in on this into the system. But that is very hard to touch, right? It's a very abstract thing. Like you decentralize control. It's not faster, but no one is in control. And that's not something you really see, you really sense. And that's the whole difficulty about this industry, because now you're trying to sell, like, your value proposition to other people is something they can't even comprehend sometimes. And especially in, I think, in developed countries and countries that have strong economics already and strong institutions, where you have no reason to distrust your government and to distrust most of your institutions. So why would you go for something where, you know, they have less control and less power?
Yeah.
And even sometimes you're happy with them being in power, right? Like when you do a wrong wire transfer, you're happy that your bank can have your back and tell you, well, no, okay, the money is back on your account, we took care of that. So there are some people for whom it's very scary. And so this whole industry, we're trying to sell a solution that is almost ideological to some aspect. And at the same time, there are places where you do see where it's actually useful. You know, when, well, you can't actually trust your governments, or when you are looking for ways of organizing communities differently, or when you actually have systems that are so large that it is better and more reliable to have no central point of control, because you make mistake. And like, this is where blockchain shines. It shines really at scale, which makes it an even harder sell, because to make it a useful product, you need institution to buy in. You need very large actors to buy in. It's not at your scale. You know, you and your peer. Using a blockchain is completely overkill. Of course, all the pioneers, we do it because we try to get into that. But the real gain is as soon as you start onboarding institution and very large groups. By very large, I mean like countries or like big cities, stuff like that. Where there is so many people that it is actually now about trust. Like you can't, you can reasonably trust a dozen of person around you. Like if you're all in a room, you don't need the blockchain to coordinate actions between dozens of people, maybe 20, 30. And there is a number after which it starts becoming impossible, and someone necessarily is going to cheat, someone is going to try to take advantage of others. And if you scale that to millions of people, then definitely. So we have a solution that is hard to develop, that is hard to put in place, that is hard to scale and so on. Yet it's only useful in that particular context, which makes it a super hard industry to work in. And so that's kind of my it's not a vision per se, but it's kind of my take on blockchains and why we are in the situation we are in at the moment, in terms of the market being there and blockchains seem not to take any to find any use case for years. Despite all the efforts going in. I just think it's just not just about the tech, right? There is so much more, and it is that other peripheral topics that actually dictate whether or not you're gonna want blockchain. So for the vision, I do think we need still to improve on the tech, because if we want people to adopt that technology, then we need to have first a technology that can work at scale, flawlessly, and in plain security. We still see every other month protocols being hacked, blockchain being down, tons of problems. So you can see still not a technology that is ready. And at the same time, and I'm convinced of it as a software engineer, like you won't get a software ready until you have users.
True.
You can spend as much time as you want in your workbench crafting the perfect software. If you never get it out in the hand of people, it's gonna have problems. There is no software in the world that you can fully make in isolation, and when you release it, it works. That doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you are completely right. I mean, whether you are a perfect, God engineer, I mean, you got everything planned out, you got everything laid out, but basically, once it goes out to the world, then that's when you start finding bugs, or maybe people are going to start not hacking but messing with you. So what you said is I totally agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and that's why I believe so much in open source, because open source is not just to me about like releasing the source code of your program and making it available. That's kind of just a byproduct of open source. The real value of open source is letting people first take part into the development of the project as you do it.
Yeah.
If you do a thing behind the scene in isolation for years, and after like 4 years you open source it, I think you've lost completely the whole point. Doing open source from the start, you let people join the train as you develop. You help. So you take that input from all your users, that you those early pioneers that's gonna want to use the thing you're building, and you use that to shape it in the right way, so that by the time you actually have many users, the software is ready because it's been shaped all along its development and all along its life with people that have been that have had a use case for it, and that helps you make the right decision in both the designs, the interface, and everything you needed to do for developing that software. So sometimes you do have like a perfect vision, you know exactly what you want to build, but it's quite important to not stay in isolation for too long, and try to get others on board as soon as you can, so that's, well, maybe there are a few things you didn't anticipate. And so building in open source means exactly that. Like, I can't give you a perfect solution from the start, because to get to that perfect solution, we first need multiple iterations between you as a user and me as a software builder.
Well, I think
so. Not sure what I was.
Yeah, but you perfectly nailed it. I mean, being in the shell for too long, you're going to lose your time. But at the same time, my main area of genre is, I'm not like a super, legend programmer like, Chris from Blank Labs, and, I respect everybody. But, when I did the radio with him for the whole month, I just fell in love with this, programming area, and, I want to do a lot more than I can, and, I want to learn every single day. But, my main background is in the music industry, but in a way, like, you said, never, be in a shell, but make everything open source. Yeah. And I kind of agree in it in a way. But for example, let's say you have some epiphany, something that is, like a revolution to the ecosystem, and that this is going to work. But for example, let's say you share something, and if you make everything public, right? And for example, you tweet and everybody comes to your repo and they check it out. And, I'm not a pro, so I just wanted to ask your opinion. But wouldn't you be scared they might take everything away from you? Or how is your stance about that?
Well, there are two sides of the coins, I would say.
Yeah.
Having ideas is super easy, right? Yeah. Everyone has 15 ideas a day.
Yeah.
And what actually is difficult is, turning those ideas into real life things.
Yeah, true.
And then it's important to think about what matters to you. Like, is what matters that it is you that realize on this idea, or is it important that just the idea come to life, right? Maybe you think, oh, I want to see, I don't know, a tool that does solve that particular problem. And someone think it's a great idea too, and they know exactly how to do it, and they do it instead of you, because you've talked about your idea, and they thought it was great, so they did it. Perfect, right? You had your idea, and the outcome you wanted was to see that tool live. But sometimes you also want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And this is where, sometimes it gets a bit frustrating, because, you don't want people to take away that thing from you. Then there is the whole business side of it, of course. But on that, typically, and I mean, okay, let's not talk about like exceptions and so on, but usually an idea that will, get you money, that means that on top of which you can build a profitable business. That's not something you can realize in a day, right? Otherwise, everyone else would have done it already.
True,
which means that most of the ideas that are worth monetizing, they're gonna take some time to develop.
Yes.
And even if you talk about the idea, someone that is remotely realistic about it might think it's a good idea, but then you see the whole workload that's needed to achieve it, and you think, well, I don't want to do that. And if someone is still ready to build a business on top of it, well, maybe that's a good moment to join forces. And so my point being that I don't think open source, so to speak, is something that will prevent you from building a successful business. Because the value is not so much in the code that you've written, but the value was in the idea and how you've executed on that idea.
And people,
if you successfully manage to do that,
and if people join forces, then it's going to be a stronger idea, and it can be a stronger proposal to the outer world. So I kind of hear you.
And you see that. You see that a lot. Open source projects that have like a common base, and everyone collaborate and contribute to that, open source core, and they build product out of it. Product that have different features, that have different capabilities, different look and feel, and that's what in the end you monetize. You monetize your interface into a more complicated tool. But that tool you build doesn't have to be private and hidden to be to become the heart of your business. On the contrary, because because if the tool is actually useful to many people and a lot of other business are built on it. People are gonna add features to it, are gonna fix bugs, and you think that also benefit your business indirectly. And you have plenty of examples like that in the open source landscape. Like just to give one, like if you take the FFmpeg library, that's a library to do video processing and video editing. I think I can confidently say that every single software in the world that touches video is built on top of FFmpeg. Like it is the most used library. And it is open source, and the reason it's been so solid and so used is because it was open source.
True.
And how many software that do video editing, video processing, and so on exist, right? And they all give you a license because what they sell is not really the fact that they can encode videos using that particular codec, because that's something FFmpeg can do anyway. The thing that they sell you is the interface to that, it's the onboarding, it's the tutorials that come with it, it's the whole ecosystem, and that's what you can sell. So the software in itself is not really something that's worth monetizing, but it's the whole experience you give around. It's the whole, how do you execute on an idea and how do you execute on a user experience? That's where you make business.
Wow, I think that was a perfect wrap for the first week. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, your knowledge and your energy is, making me learn a lot. So I would like to hear tons more next week. So thank you very much for joining me this week. And please carry on with this energy next week. But just thank you very much for joining me this week.
Thank you.